Hey everybody, Whitney Alien here, and this week I'm just out cruising around in space doing a little sightseeing. I thought that this week it would be super fun if I did my very first model, and I bought this adorable retro UFO and I just have to build it. Ooh, I wonder what this does. Ooh, that didn't sound good.
So I wanted to do this project for a little while, and I just thought it would be so fun if I took the dollhouse that I have already, which is this one here in the photo, and built a spaceship alien crash into the roof of the dollhouse. Now, I don't necessarily want this to be a piece that is on the house all the time, so I do want to take into consideration that it could be a removable item for the dollhouse, but I may put it on there and then decide it needs to be up there all the time. But if I hate it, I just want to know that I can remove it. So I'm going to construct it in a way that it can be removed. This is the model right here. This is a retro UFO Area 51 model that I purchased at my local hobby store here in town in Ventura, and I really loved it. The only thing is that it's technically a 1/48 scale model, and you can see here it's got the bottom. I've taped it together, but it also has the top portion of it. It has an interior, and then it comes with all of these really great plastic pieces that are supposed to be a very small 1/48 scale alien setup. It's got a military guy. It's got some boosters is what I'm guessing that they are. And it would be, just like a really small 1/48 scale flying saucer that would have a whole bunch of aliens in it. But my dollhouse is a 1/12 scale. So what I want to do is convert this to where it's more like a smaller flying saucer that you would see in the movies, right? Unless you've seen one in real life, you let me know in the comments. This would be for in my mind, I'm thinking a little small family of 3 that might have been going along their way and they just wanted to vacation here on Earth before heading back home. So that's my concept. So as far as where on the roof of the dollhouse I want the crash to be, I like this little corner right here of the house, as though it kind of was flying in and then crashed here on the corner. I also like the 2 little angles here so I could rest the spaceship on one half of the house. I'm going to try to keep the spaceship as light as possible. What I need to do first is create some faux roofing. And the way that I'm going to do that is by using this piece of trash foam. And basically I'm going to cut this down into 2 angles that are the same shape as the roof line. Now you can see that my roof does not have shingles. I did more of a modern farmhouse roof on it, and I did use some very shiny duct tape, which I may eventually replace. I do like a nice shingled roof, but for now I'm just gonna have it how it is. So I took a piece of paper here, scrap paper. I folded it down to meet the same shape as my roof lines so that I knew what shapes I needed to cut out of the foam, and those are my 2 roof lines there. And then I'm just gonna grab my foam cutter, my hot foam cutter, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut down those pieces so that I can basically create a faux roof for my spaceship to crash into. All right, so there's my 2 pieces, and I did put them back on the roof just to make sure that how I glued them was accurate, because I definitely want this to be able to sit right into the roof line and hold the spacecraft at the same time. So I did glue them together with my hot glue, and then I'm just going to push my toothpicks right into the foam, and these are just going to help with the stability of the piece itself. Okay, and so that's what we got. That's the basic setup. The foam, though, to me is just a little too thick. I'm trying to disguise it into the roof line so it just looks like the spacecraft was crashed into the actual roof. Because I feel like it's a little too thick, I'm just gonna take my foam cutter again, and I'm just gonna shave down the foam. Now I'm changing out the foam cutter to the long arm, and I'm cutting out a hole in the foam, and this is going to be where the spacecraft actually hits the roof. So I'm just doing like a big football shape basically, or a big eye shape, so that the spacecraft itself fits right into that. And then I'm going to paint that foam a couple coats of black, which I'll show you here in a little bit, to just match the roof. All right, speaking of painting, let's move along to the actual spacecraft itself. I did purchase this originally with the intention of building it exactly how the directions intended. However, I should have known myself better, and I should have known that I was going to modify this. So here's all the paints that I originally purchased. But at the end of the day, I'm only going to really be using the silver, the purple, the black, and the gray, and a lot of the metallic blue. So I've gone ahead and painted that. You can see that the windows have now a blue tint to them, a metallic blue, and then the rest is all painted silver. I haven't quite glued everything together yet because the other thing that I'd like to do is add some lighting to the interior of the spacecraft. I think that would be really a fun addition. The kit itself doesn't come with any lighting instructions or anything, but I'd like to go ahead and add that to the interior, but I want to do it in a circle. And so it doesn't really, I don't have enough string lights to go around the whole outer edge of the entire spacecraft. I have enough to do like a circle on the interior. And I don't want to add too much weight to the spacecraft itself. So I'm just going to cut out a foam piece, and I'm using the top portion of the spacecraft as a stencil. That will give me a nice round circle. You can see here, just using again more of my foam remnants. And that's a little thick, so I'm going to cut that in half also. And then once I have just a nice small cylinder here, I will take that light strip. The light strip itself, it just has this really great sticky backing to it, and then I can just stick it directly to this foam, as you can see here. That's perfect. And then I'm going to hot glue that to the center of my spacecraft onto the floorboard, just like that. And I'm going to paint the top of that metallic silver also. And then once that is installed, I can go ahead and glue my spacecraft all together. Then I can glue that into my faux roofline. I am not gluing the top portion onto the spacecraft white yet because I am going to be making a couple modifications to that. So we'll just glue the body in. So to adhere the faux roofline to the real roofline, I'm going to be using Velcro. And these white little circular ones here that I have, this was already part of my stash that I already have, but I don't want white. I want black, because obviously if I do decide to remove the spacecraft for any reason, I don't want these little white dots on the roof. So I will be replacing them with black, but just for time purposes, this is what I'm going to use today. And then there you go. I've got the faux roof just stuck to the real roof with my spacecraft. And I wasn't sure if it would hold initially, so I added a little piece of duct tape there. That's what you're seeing, that the darker black. I'm going to remove that. I wind up not needing it. So what I like to do now is add a few pieces of what would look like maybe debris, and I am going to be using shingles to do that. And so I'm just going to be breaking them down, cutting them, and gluing them with my ultimate white glue right at the point of impact where the spacecraft would be impacting that roof line. The other thing too is if you're noticing the difference in the black, like the faux and then also the roof, a couple things. Number one, the lighting is really bouncing off of it. In real life, it blends a lot more. The other thing that I'm going to do is shave more foam off of the bottom, because now that it's up there, I'm realizing I don't need so much of the faux roof. So I'm going to be removing the bottom portion underneath the spacecraft so it blends even better. But for now, I'm just going to be adding those debris shingles, and I'm going to make sure that not only do I put them on top of the roof, I also want them on top of the spacecraft itself to really make it look like it broke right into the roof. And then I'm going to add a couple different color paints to the shingles. Once they're all dry, I'm going to add black, of course. I'll add a little bit of darker brown to make it look like a stain color. And I think that it's going to be pretty cute when it's all finished. All right, now let's talk about aliens. All right, so for my aliens, I want to do, like I said in the beginning of the video, a family of 3. I'm thinking mom, dad, and maybe like a little kid alien or a little toddler alien. And I really want them to stand out and be very bright on the piece. And I kind of felt like for fun, I'd like to have these aliens not be really scary, maybe a little bit more cartoonish. And what I was thinking is having the mom and dad on the outside of the spacecraft, and maybe dad is helping the baby or the toddler get out of the spacecraft itself. And so I've drawn up a couple little aliens, and I'm thinking for the mom and dad, I'm going to make them to be like a 1/24 scale, or in this case, we'll have them about 3 inches tall for the dad. Maybe the mom's a little smaller, and then the little baby alien. Now, I'm not a sculptor. You guys know this. I've talked about it before. I'm just going to make an armature here, very simple one out of some very small low gauge metal. And then I'm using to sculpt the aliens my Sculpey living doll clay. Now, there's nothing to be taught here from me as a sculptor because I'm not. So these basically are my little guys here. You can see even that I almost overcooked my dad just by a little bit. His little hand started to get a little brown. And I just thought, my little alien, I'm going to have him have definitely a dad bod. And his arms are up because he is going to be reaching out for the little toddler to help him get out of the spacecraft or crawling up to the spacecraft to get to the baby. And then mom, I gave her arms up as well because I think she's going to be more like, oh my gosh, dad, make sure to get my baby out of the spacecraft, and we'll give her like a little surprise look on her face when we paint her. And then for the baby, I wish I had kind of done this a little bit different, but I use my cup here as a guide to kind of get the look of a little person trying to crawl out of a spacecraft. So when I made him, I put him on this cup as a stunt, like as a way to hold the baby to kind of give the look of somebody crawling out of something. And then I baked him that way, not on the cup, obviously, on a piece of tile. And then that's what he looks like, or she looks like, I don't know. Now for the color, I'm gonna go with this shamrock green color. It is a very bright green, but it is March. It is going to be St. Patrick's Day soon, but I definitely want them to stand out and be like this really vibrant green, fun alien green. And then I just basically painted them, gave them several coats of green. And then once they were all dry, I did take some chalk and I did a little dusting over them in an olive color, giving them just a little bit of a dimension. And they really did start to pop for sure. You are definitely going to notice these little green guys. With my Sharpie, I basically drew on little alien faces. For the mom, I gave her a couple little long lashes. Her mouth is in a circle, right? She's a little shocked because of the crash. Dad's got a little smirk, gave him larger eyes, and maybe he's smirking because he's just trying to keep calm, keep everybody calm. If he's okay, they're okay, right? And then for baby, I just did basically a little smirk as well, and then large black eyes. For the baby, though, I want to add a little extra accessory, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. All right, so now that they're all nice and dry and ready to be glued to the set, I'm going to modify that top piece of the spacecraft. And basically, I just took my Dremel and I Dremeled out a window. And I'm just going to use my little clippers to get rid of any of the other little bits and pieces. But it kind of looks good like that. I like the way that looks. It almost does have a crashed spaceship kind of vibe to it. And then once I have my window popped out, I'm going to add my little baby right there getting out of the spaceship. So you can see the little baby's kind of crawling out. And then I'm going to add the door to the side, kind of like it got pushed out or that the dad lasered it out to save his little baby. So we'll glue that in so you can see that. And then we've got dad right here kind of crawling up to the little baby alien. And then I'm putting mom over here to the side so we can have all three of them in the same little scene. And you can see the mom is yelling out to the husband, Believe me, this is a very traumatic scene. I do want to add a little top portion to the spacecraft here. It's a little antenna, so I am adding that to it. And then another accessory that I thought would be really cute is the original set, of course, came with a couple little aliens. And I figured that if a little family of 3 were traveling through Earth on vacation, the toddler would definitely have his or her favorite toy. And so I want to paint this little alien right here. So it does call for it to be painted purple, gray, and black. So I am actually going to do that since I have those colors. And that's what the little cute little guy looks like, the little doll looks like. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue it to my spacecraft. And of course, as you guys probably know, I am an over gluer, so I'm putting a little too much glue on it, but hey, I definitely want it to stay. The other thing that I did was I went ahead and I painted the upper windows in that same metallic blue that we did on the lower windows there. And then I added a color called Barn Red to the spacecraft itself, just to kind of rust it up a little bit, make it look not so new. The same with the antenna. I painted it a light purple, and then I kind of added some other paint too to just make it look a little bit more, used, like the spacecraft is used, like it's a used vehicle, right? They probably got it on sale, trying to save money at the used spaceship lot where they live, on their planet where they live. Okay, and then that's it, you guys. That is the rundown. That is my first model that I've ever made. Just being true to myself. I just couldn't stay on the directions. I had to veer off. I had to do something different. And I absolutely hope that you enjoyed this modification of that UFO model, that Area 51 retro spacecraft model, which went from a 148 scale to a 124 scale technically for a 12 scale dollhouse. And that's it. There it is in all its out of this world glory. So I hope that you loved this episode. It was definitely something different. I had said in a previous video that I definitely wanted to jump back over to my Garfield Dollhouse and do fun things for the house throughout the year. So I thought that this would be another really fun project. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments below. Definitely, if you loved the video, give it a thumbs up. Like I said, leave a comment. Love to hear from you. And don't forget to share the video if you feel so inclined. I really appreciate you all being here as always. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.